My next guest dove down to the Titanic wreck in 2003 aboard a Russian submersible. He also had a friend on board the Titan vessel. Larry Daly joins us now from St. John's. Larry, I'm so sorry about your friend Paul Henri. I just wanted to give you my condolences and just ask you how you're doing right now.
Well, thanks, David. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm pretty sad, obviously, and still trying to process all this. When the press conference happened earlier this afternoon, from Boston, it's not the update I wanted to hear. I had hope up till minutes before that this was going to have a good outcome and they would find him and, hopefully get him back. But yeah, it's devastating news. And first of all, my condolences go out to all the families involved in this, and it's a great loss for this very unique community of deep submersible explorers.
We spoke a little bit last night about your friend, Paul-Henri Nargeolet. I've seen pictures you've posted of you and him together on social media. Tell us a bit more about your friend. What was he like?
Yeah, PH was a great man. He, very upbeat. I always made you smile, and I always asked how you're doing. And you never see him with his head down. He's always a guy that just kept smiling and a really hard worker. Well liked, in the Titanic community and the deep submersible community. I'm sure France is mourning now, as well as people around the world that knew him. And it's a great loss, and it was only a couple of weeks ago that I was able to enjoy a beverage with him here in St. John's. And at least I had that bit of time with him, which I'll always cherish, and the memories of being with PH.
You've been down there. We talked about this last night, that you went down there 20 years ago with James Cameron as part of the work the filmmaker was doing. You went down with his team. When you heard the news today of what had happened, were you surprised by that? Did that make sense to you, that something like this catastrophic implosion would have been the cause of this?
Well, first of all, yes, it was 20 years ago, but it wasn't with Jim. It was with one of his colleagues. It was a separate expedition. We were doing science research on that expedition with the top deep, ocean scientists around the world. But yeah, it's sad. It's very catastrophic. I just can't imagine, the situation, but if anything would give kind of peace to somebody at some point, would be that hopefully this happened in a nanosecond. When I dove the wreck in a Russian sub, they told me the risks, and one thing they told me, we've had as much as a pinhole in the fuselage or the hull of that submersible. If it imploded, you wouldn't know you're gone. It'd be just instantaneous in a nanosecond, and it'd be over.
It's a grim story when you have to consider that at least it was quick, as the silver lining. And it's a bad day, right? And I want to show a picture of a better day if I can, Larry. And this is a picture from your Facebook page. And it's PH, as you call him, Paul-Henri, and he's on a Zodiac that you own. And he's sailing in St. John's Harbor. It's the body of water we see right there behind you. You're heading out towards the Narrows, as they're called. What do you remember about that day? What can you tell us about that moment with your friend?
Well, it was a beautiful day in August 2019. They were just wrapping up an expedition called the 5 Deeps, where they had a submersible that dove the 5 deepest oceans in the world and set a world record, much, much deeper than Titanic, and PH was involved in that. And, he was here in St. John's. We got to spend, a day and a half together, and the vessel you see in the background of that picture was the support vessel for that submersible that was being used on that expedition. And when they just on their way into St. John's, they actually dove Titanic, and I was able to see some new data of Titanic and the state of it and so on. So that morning the ship was sailing out, and PH jumped in the Zodiac with me, and we headed out through the Narrows, and he wanted to see them off safely, and and that's what we did, and it was a great day and it was a great memory.
When you hear the reporting that's been done, Larry, about the safety of this particular vessel and the concerns people raised about it, what was your reaction knowing that when you heard the news today that it had gone terribly wrong?
Well, I can't speculate on anything to do with the company or the equipment. I'm not involved with them. But obviously the news is, is terrible. Hopefully they can find some kind of, reasoning what happened. This happened on Sunday. the alert, that they, not alert, sorry, that they realized they had lost contact an hour and 45 minutes after. But, the top people, that do this kind of work, they're out there. So, hopefully they'll scan the seafloor and bring back as much as they can. Hopefully they'll bring back closure from the family as well. But again, I don't know, because I don't know the state, of that wreck.
No, and it's a tough sea to be doing that kind of a search, as you well know from your time out there. Larry, I wonder, you did this as part of scientific research when you went there. This was adventure tourism. What do you think an incident like this could mean for the future of that particular industry and the sort of the thrill seekers who want to go see something like the Titanic?
Well, the submersibles I've been involved with over the years, I mean, they're proven, been used in multiple expeditions and so on. I really don't know what the outcome will be. I mean, it's something that, I guess we'll see. It's in international waters. The U.S. Coast Guard, are the ones that are taking the lead on this now recovery, no longer a rescue mission. And I would imagine the investigation as well. So that'll be left to be seen. What will be, I guess, the situation going forward if people are going to do tourist diving on the Titanic or I guess anywhere in that jurisdiction.
Well, Larry Daly, I want to thank you for speaking with us on what's a difficult day after a difficult week. But thanks for joining us and sharing your memories of your friend Paul Henry. Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
For more on this story, we've reached Per Wimmer. He's an astronaut, an explorer, and an acquaintance of Hamish Harding, who was on board the Titan submersible. Per, I'm very sorry for your loss. How are you taking the news of this today?
Oh, devastated. I mean, I knew it was going to be difficult, and we kept our hopes up. But obviously, with the breaking news earlier from the U.S. Coast Guard, it's absolutely devastating that the world have lost such an incredible person, and indeed all five great explorers and great people. So yeah, deeply saddened.
Well, what was your reaction when you heard the news? Because I've seen you on TV quite a few times today and the last couple of days, and you were holding out hope, right? That bit of optimism to keep it was there. What was your reaction when you heard the tragic news?
Yeah, I always remain an optimist, and even though the odds are skewed and not in your favor, I was hoping for some sort of miracle that the submersible would somehow just make it to the surface. I know rationally that probably was unlikely because they would have done it on Sunday probably, but I was still hoping. And obviously it was like a dagger in the heart when I heard what had happened. I mean, devastating news, and my heart goes out to the families. And I would also say it has been incredible to see the amount of global support and best wishes and that sort of thing that has come this way, let alone all the amazing amount of assets, vessels, airplanes, and everything else that suddenly were made at this disposal with such short notice. That was incredible to see, actually, how the whole world suddenly came together to save these five people, which sadly was unsuccessful.
You're not just an acquaintance of Hamish. You were supposed to go down on that submersible, the OceanGate submersible, in 2019, but it never happened. What happened in 2019? Why didn't you go down to the Titanic?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with OceanGate and the staff there, and listened to presentations by Stockton to really sort of understand the procedures and what the whole thing entailed. I was super excited to go down. And I signed up on the first season in 2019, but the whole adventure got stopped and blocked down to bureaucracy. The big vessel actually got stopped at port and were not allowed to steam out. So the whole season got cancelled, and then obviously after that, COVID kicked in, and I got a bit busy, and then I thought I'll keep an eye on the seasons of and just monitor it and see what was going to happen. But yeah, that was the reason why we got blocked back then. It was bureaucracy, effectively.
So you had no safety concerns. We've seen a lot of reporting about this particular vessel and a lot of revelations about concerns that other people had raised about its worthiness to go to these sorts of depths. Do you have any safety concerns after everything we've learned and with the outcome of this particular vessel of whether or not it should have been in the water?
Yeah, I mean, it's always very easy to be clever in hindsight. There were a little bit of debate around it that was sort of floating around. Certain engineers had one opinion, and other engineers had another opinion, and that's not uncommon when you're into sort of adventure territory, and these are new things. There were some concerns, to be fair, but what has now transpired in terms of potential whistleblower within the company and a big report and letter from a bunch of engineers, etc., it wasn't as prevalent back then. That's something that has transpired more subsequently. We were more focused on the mission and what we were going to do. And Stockton, for the record, was obsessed with safety. He would run around with his checklist, and he was really obsessed with safety. He was very, very high on his list, and he would be the first one to abort a mission if something were going wrong.
Right. This is Stockton Rush, who was, I believe he was the pilot, right? He was.
He was the CEO and founder of Ocean Gate, and he was also the pilot on this tragic mission.
Hamish Harding would have been the person you knew best. Is that a fair assessment? I just wonder, what do you want people to know about him? As they may have only learned of him in this terrible circumstance. What do you want people to know about your friend Hamish Harding?
Hamish was larger than life. He was such an incredible, super nice person. Really, really nice guy. The one you want to go down the pub and have a drink with, and just very enjoyable person, honestly. In addition to that, he was a very accomplished businessman, running his aviation business out of Dubai. And he was also an incredible adventurer. He had 3 Guinness World Records to his name. He'd done several deep sea dives before. He went to the South Pole with one of my friends here in England. I mean, he was very accomplished as an adventurer, and he was very well respected. And he was part of sort of the adventure astronaut community. He also went to space last year. I'm going up myself next year. So it was all that kind of adventure astronaut community, and he was just a really well-liked guy. So it's an incredible loss, and I'm deeply saddened that he's no longer with us.
Given what's happened, does it give you pause on some of your exploration and adventures? I mean, you just casually dropped in, you're going to go to space next year. I mean, does it make you think about that? Do you think it could affect other people from pursuing some of these efforts that Hamish Harding pursued in his life?
It certainly gives, we pause and we think, and we suddenly realize that academic part of it, that actually things could happen, there are risks associated with, and sometimes these things actually come true. So yes, it does give pause for concern. At the same time, when it comes to my trip to space next year, I'm 110% committed. That ain't going to change. I will go. It's been a long dream of mine that I've waited for over 2 decades now. I'm definitely going to go to space, and I feel very comfortable about the risk profile there. It sounds perhaps more dangerous than it actually is. I know the engineers. I've talked to a lot of people about it. There's been an enormous amount of testing, lots of money being spent of it, public approval and certifications and stuff. So I'm very, very comfortable about that. But when it comes to adventures more in general, and other adventures, yeah, we'll probably take a deep breath and just make sure we assess the risk profile completely and make sure we're comfortable. But adventures must go on. We are, as human species, made that way, that we want to learn, we want to explore, we want to innovate, we want to push the boundaries. And that is how we, as a civilization, have advanced over the time. And that's why we are such an advanced civilization.
Well, help me understand the mindset of the adventurer. It's something I'm grappling with all week. So I'm from St. John's. I'm from the place where the rescue and the search has been staged. And I grew up around the North Atlantic, and you see so much tragedy there. And the idea of going to the bottom of it on a sense of adventure is something I could never reconcile, watching this story unfold throughout the week. What is it that fuels someone to want to do something like that?
It's an inner drive. It's a desire to learn. It is a desire to live life to its full. And yes, that does entail sometimes taking some risks on board. And yes, I have a very happy life and an amazing family and everything else. But as a human being and as an adventurer, you just want to push that boundaries a bit further. You want to make that little difference in your life. You want to enjoy, you want to write the manual so that other people can hopefully do it. I mean, 2008, I became the first person to skydive Mount Everest. That was exciting. It was incredible to how to put an adventure like that together and actually execute on it. I mean, something nobody else has done before. And yes, it had risk, and yes, we had some accidents, but it is what it is when you do adventures, and it is not for everybody. Let's be honest.
No.
There are people where the glass is always half empty, and that's fine. Nobody compels you to leave planet Earth or whatever. It's a free choice. But some of us, we really enjoy it, and we get a kick of it, and we hope that in the process we can really inspire kids to live out their dreams, whatever they might be.
So you're going to continue with your space mission next year, your trip into space next year. You almost went to the Titanic 4 years ago. Do you think you'd push that boundary again? Do you think you'd be willing to go back in a submersible and go into the depths of the sea to see the Titanic after this week?
I'll definitely take a little bit of pause on that one for now. I mean, I've had 2 attempts on Titanic, 2012 and 2019. And my plan was very much to go to space, have that incredible experience, and then next on the bucket list was definitely going to be Titanic. I think, well, now it's off. I mean, first of all, it's not possible. There's going to be a big investigation here. This will last years and years and years. So that's off. That's not going to happen. The alternative would be to use the Russian submersibles, Mir 1, Mir 2. That ain't going to happen too because of the situation with Ukraine and Russia. So no missions going down there anytime soon. So fortunately, I don't even have to think about it. It's off the table.
Well, Per Wimmer, I want to thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you doing it. Again, our sincere condolences on the loss of your friend.
Thank you so much.